Hi everybody. We're going to talk a little bit about the Pythagorean Theorem and its converse today. So let's get right to it. We're going to do the odds. So the directions ask us to find the missing side of each triangle and simplify radicals if needed. So first thing we're going to do is use the Pythagorean Theorem. So we're going to assign our variables. So the two legs are going to be a and b. Excuse me. The hypotenuse will be c. And it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. These being the legs, this being the hypotenuse. So 7 squared plus radical 26 squared equals c squared. 7 squared is 49. Radical 26 squared is just 26 equals c squared. Excuse me. And I believe this is 75. Did I screw that up? Let's double check here. 49 plus 26. It's early. Yeah, good. Okay, I didn't screw it up. C squared. And then we're going to square root both sides. So we have c equals radical 75, but I have a feeling we can simplify that. So let's see, 5 and, is it 15? Yep. And then 3 and 5. So we have 3, 5, and 5. So radical 5 times 5 times 3. We list all our factors. We're looking for factors that happen twice because we're looking at a square root. So we put a 5 on the outside and 3 on the inside, so it's 5 radical 3 is going to be c. Okay, let's try 3 here. So we have our c this time. We're looking for one of the legs. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So x squared plus 9 squared, and that's feet, by the way. I forgot about the unit of measurement. Equals 13 squared. So x squared plus 81 equals 169. Let's subtract 81 from both sides. I think it's going to be 87. Let's just double check. 169 minus 81. 88, sorry, 88. Okay. 88. And then we're going to square root both sides. And let's write over here so we have a little more room. So radical 88, let's try to factor that. So 2 and 44, 2 and 22, 2 and 11. So we have 3 2's and an 11. 2 times 2 times 2 times 11. And we're going to circle the pair of 2's. So 2 on the outside and 2 times 11 is 22. So 2 radical 22, and that's going to be kilometers. So this is the part that usually people have a hard time with, so take your time factoring it and use a calculator if you need to. It's really about, if you know your times tables, it's not too bad, but yeah. Okay, state of each triangle is a right triangle. Okay, so we're going to see if it's a right triangle by applying the variables. The longest side needs to be the c. So 15 is longer than 10 and 15 is longer than 5 radical 5. So that's how we know this would be our c. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A squared being 5 radical 5 plus 10, sorry, it's squared, plus 10 squared equals 15 squared. All right, so 5 radical 5 squared. I'm going to write over here so there's a little less confusion. 5 radical 5 times 5 radical 5, because that's what it is squared. So the two 5's in front give us 25, and radical 5 times radical 5 is 5, and 5 times 25 is 125. So 125 plus, and 10 squared is 100, and 15 squared is it 225? Let's make sure. 15 squared, yep, 225. So 125 plus 100 is 225. Yep, so this is a right triangle. Now 5 radical 5 squared, you can still use your calculator if you're using one of the scientific ones. So parentheses 5 radical 5 squared 125. There you go. You should be able to see that. Okay, let's turn the page. Let's try this one out. So A, B, and C. This is the longer side. It's longer than 10 and it's longer than the radical 21. Because we know radical 21 is between 4 and 5. Because of the perfect squares, it's between. Okay, so a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A is 10, so 10 squared plus radical 21 squared equals 11 squared. So 10 squared is 100. Radical 21 squared is 21. And 11 squared, 121. And 100 plus 21 is 121. So, yes, this is a right triangle. If this was unequal, this wasn't true, then it would be no, it's not. Okay. So, state if each triangle is acute, obtuse, or right. So I'm going to write this over here on the side here. And this is on the board in the class, but just in case. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That means it's going to be a right triangle. Okay? A squared plus b squared. If that is less than the hypotenuse, of not the hypotenuse, sorry, the longer side. If the longer side squared is larger than the sum of the two smaller sides added together, their squares added together, that's going to be an obtuse triangle. And this is very easy to forget. I actually forget this all the time. I always have to write this down because for some reason my brain just has a hard time remembering this. Okay? So this is what you need to do. You need to know in order to solve these other ones. So the longer side is going to be here. Although this is very close to that. This is very close to that. Let's see how close that is actually. So radical 26 times 2. It's just below 11. Okay, so it's still, we know this is the C at least. So C, A, and B. So A squared plus B squared, and then C squared. So A squared is going to be 2 radical 26 squared plus radical 21 squared and 11 squared. So 2 radical 26 times 2 radical 26. So 2 times 2 is 4, and radical 26 times radical 26 is 26. And 4 times 26, I think that's 104? No, what is that? 26 times 4. 104, okay. So 104 plus, and this is going to be 21. So this is 125. And then this is going to be 121. Okay, so the A and B squared is larger than the C squared. So that means this is going to be an acute triangle. Right here. Right? This is larger than that, so acute. Let's try this out. So we have our A, our B, and our C. So A squared plus B squared, and we have our C squared here. Okay, so our A is 4 radical 6 squared, plus our B is 7 squared, and our C is 11 squared. Okay, so let's put this over here. 4 radical 6 times 4 radical 6. 4 times 4 is 16. Radical 6 times radical 6 is 6. 6 times 16 is 96. So 96 is here. 7 squared is 49. So 96 plus 49, 145. And 11 squared is 121. So again, the sum of the two sides is larger than the longest side. So if we go over and check, it means it's going to be acute. Okay. All right, hopefully that was helpful, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, thanks.